Many advocates today participate in multidisciplinary teams of some sort or case review activities. Are there confidentiality concerns or policies that one should keep in mind when participating in those activities?
Absolutely. So when you're participating in collaboration, it's important to remember that that doesn't change the kind of professional you are or what your professional requirements are. So if you are a privileged advocate or a VAWA-funded confidential advocate, then you are still those things when you work in a collaboration. Just because you got funding to do a multidisciplinary team or you got invited to participate in this doesn't mean that your promise to protect the survivor's choice goes away. And so when you come into the collaboration, you're still always approaching it from the perspective of how do I protect the choice of the person who trusted me with their information? And if you come at it from that perspective, how do I protect the choice of the person who trusted me with their information? It actually becomes very easy because then you're just always thinking to yourself, did this person make a choice that to have information shared with the broader group? And did this person make a choice to have me being the one sharing the information? What can get complicated about collaborations is that other professionals understand that advocates tend to be the best at listening and at understanding the full story of what's happening to a survivor. So sometimes what collaborations can, and I think completely unintentionally, do is ask the advocate to become a proxy for the victim. So it's a collaboration if there is something that's a case review about specific survivors and the survivor is not in the room, then other professionals may ask the advocate to be a proxy for that person and say, what does she want? What will she do? What happened to her? And so it's the advocate's role to say, that's not my role in this room, but if the person has given me permission to disclose that I work with them, and so everybody else in the room knows that the advocate works with the older adult, then the advocate can say, I don't know, I'm not her, but I can take that information back. And if there's something that she wants me to share with you about it, or if there's something she wants to share with you about it, then I'll come back to you with more. So always focusing on centering the survivor in the discussion and centering the survivor in choices about their own information. Many collaborative groups will come together and sign a memorandum of understanding, and I think having a memorandum of understanding is an absolute requirement for doing collaboration. However, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what those memoranda actually mean. So many groups will sign a memorandum that says, we agree that everything we discuss in this group will remain confidential and will not be shared outside the group. That could be a very important thing to do, but it does not change your, if you are an individual advocate in that group, you still have a legal requirement to protect the information. And when you sign that memorandum of understanding, that doesn't mean that the survivor made a choice that you freely share their information in that group. The second issue with collaborative groups and a memorandum of understanding is some participants in the group are not legally allowed to protect information. So if you have a prosecutor in the group or law enforcement in the group, they actually have constitutional duties to share information with criminal defendants that might help the defendant prove they are innocent. But it does pose an issue that if you have a collaborative group with law enforcement or prosecutors in it, and you share information with them, you could essentially be sharing that information with the abuser unintentionally. And so groups have to stay aware of what is each member's responsibility for protecting information and each member's responsibility for disclosing information. And then they have to teach each other what those are in order to work together well. And that brings me to my second element of what I think advocates really can do in these collaborations, which is they can focus on always making sure that the group has a victim-centered lens on how they discuss, how they consider, how they strategize, and what they're doing. Advocates are probably the best positioned to do that role. And so it doesn't have to be a, what does this victim want, but it is a, what is a victim-centered approach to discussing this issue.